How's it going, everybody? Horse Beef here. No goofy intro today. I just don't want to really make light of anything because this is quite a serious topic to make a video about. The civil case against Conor McGregor. He has been ordered to pay around 250 grand to the accuser, Nikita Hand. And yeah, he was found civilly liable, not criminally guilty of anything, but civilly liable. In case you don't know the difference between those two things, as you see right here, the difference between a criminal case and a civil case is that the threshold for proof is essentially much lower for a civil case versus a criminal case. In a criminal case, you need to prove without a shadow of a doubt that this act did take place, which is the exact reason why this particular case was thrown out of criminal court multiple times, versus civil case where it's all about probabilities, right? If there's a 51% chance that Conor McGregor did it, then this woman would have been awarded this money, and Conor McGregor would have been ordered to pay it, right? It's as simple as that, and that's why I need to urge people to, pump the brakes a little bit when it comes to just throwing out the word rapist, because there is a lot of inconsistencies with Nikita Hand's story. I must say there are inconsistencies. I'm not saying that Conor McGregor isn't a piece of shit, because any man who can go around when they have everything in life, right? He has a beautiful wife that's been with him since before his fame. He has a family. He has children. And if you're going around and you're being a piece of shit, cheating on your family with promiscuous women, then you have nothing but disdain from me, and you have no sympathy for me either. Like I don't feel any sympathy for Conor McGregor because he puts himself in these positions in the first place, and this wouldn't be the first time, right? And some people might say, when there's smoke, there's fire, and maybe so, but I try and be as objective as possible in these situations. And let's just start off here by reading out Conor McGregor's response to the whole situation. Let's go. People want to hear from me. I needed time. I know I made mistakes. 6 years ago, I should have never responded to her outreaches. I should have shut the party down. I should have never stepped out on the woman I love the most in the world. That's all on me. As much as I regret it, everything that happened that night was consensual, and all witnesses present swore to that under oath. That is actually true. I heard that witnesses that were next door have actually told a completely different story and heard sounds that did not sound consistent with sexual assault, right? But let's just keep going. I can't go back, and I will move forward. Oh, sorry, I didn't even read the fucking rest of that second paragraph here. I have instructed my legal team to appeal the decision. I can't go back, and I will move forward. I am beyond grateful to my family, friends, and supporters all over the world who have stayed by my side. That's it, no more. Getting back to the gym. The fight game awaits. Yeah, I'm not too sure if that's ever going to happen again, man. And the fallout has been quite bad for Conor McGregor as well. The Hitman devs removing him and his likeness from the game altogether. I would assume that entire mission. I haven't played it myself, but I've watched a playthrough of it. So I assume that whole mission has just been scrapped from the game altogether. Major retailers are pulling Proper 12 from their shelves. The owners of Proper 12 or whatever. I assume that Conor McGregor is one of the owners, but maybe the majority stakeholders are taking Conor McGregor. I would assume that Conor himself is just stepping back and taking his face off the brand, altogether, just to separate himself from that brand, because I assume he cares for Proper 12 quite a bit, and it is a revenue source for him, a major revenue source, you can only assume. And then you have this $8 million high court case filed by Artem Lobov, I believe, following this civil case. So yes, Conor McGregor in a vulnerable state, and the vultures are surrounding him, man. And many people are pointing out this tweet right here. I believe this is from 2019 from Khabib, where he says, "Rapist, you are a rapist," or sorry, "You are a rapist. You are a hypocrite who is not responsible for your actions. Justice will find you. We will see." At Conor McGregor. Now, some people are pointing this out like, "Oh shit, Khabib must have known something." But I think this is from 2019, a year after this event with Nikita Hand allegedly took place, and I believe she filed something regarding this case. Like she tried to bring something forward, and I believe there were other cases around that time too. So whether Khabib knew something or not, it could have just been headlines that Khabib was able to see, and then him just reacting accordingly. So I don't know if Khabib necessarily knew something, or if he was just trying to bring more attention to the court cases, because this isn't the first time Conor's been accused of something like this. It really isn't, man. And this does, for me, draw some kind of a parallel, especially with Conor McGregor trying to get into politics. There is a parallel here with Donald Trump in a way, because everyone likes to throw around or fucking Donald Trump's a rapist, this and that, even though he was never criminally responsible for committing any act like that, but was actually found civilly liable. And that, like I said, guys, is because evidence, the threshold for evidence is much lower. So like I said, dude, anything could be true. If a jury of 8 women and 4 men find Conor McGregor to be civilly liable for sexual assault, is that a surprising factor when 8 out of the 12 jury members are women? I feel like that needs to be taken into consideration too, right? Just to be completely objective in this situation. Now, this is apart from the case that I would like to focus on here. McGregor, she said, would not take no for an answer. Her evidence was both were fully dressed when he pinned her on the bed in a hotel room, telling her, "Relax, babe," and rubbing my face. She put her arms up to keep him away, but he kept pushing his weight down on top of her. Just before that, when McGregor was in the suite bathroom, he called her to suck on that, meaning his penis. She said, that's crazy. After he pinned her onto the bed, he put her in a chokehold 3 times, telling her now she knew how he felt in the octagon when he tapped the ground 3 times, she said. She was unable to breathe and fearful. She would not see her daughter again, stop fighting, and let happen what was going to happen. Okay, so right, that sounds horrible. Of course it does, right? Just to be in that situation, if this took place, that's an awful situation to be in, right? But I do feel like adding in that now you know how I felt when I tapped the ground 3 times. I feel like that, like, listen, I wasn't in the room. I wasn't even a fly on the wall. You know what I mean? Like, I could never say whether or not this is true or not. And these are her accounts, but I could never personally hear Conor McGregor saying that, just knowing how prideful he is as a human being. Like, that little addition there just, for me, takes away from the legitimacy of her story just a little bit. It just seems ridiculous, but if he did say that while he was coked out of his mind, man, maybe I can see it. I honestly, I could never say, man. After their encounter, a tampon was wedged into the top of her vagina and was removed later by a doctor who examined her at the Rotunda Hospital Sexual Assault Unit. McGregor was vehement in his rejection of her account. Hand was full of lies. There was no rape, no rough sex, and the two had vigorous, athletic, prolonged, and fully consensual sex in a multitude of positions, he said. Jesus Christ, man. At the very, very least, Conor McGregor is a piece of shit cheater, man. This is my point here, is that everyone is looking for reasons to hate Conor McGregor. You're looking for reasons. You want him to be a rapist, right? It's the same thing with Donald Trump. As I said, you want him to be a rapist so bad that a case like this, where very little evidence must be provided, like actual evidence, it's all circumstantial evidence provided, right? It really does come down to probability. Like I said, 51% chance. If the jury deems that there's a 51% chance that Conor McGregor did what he's accused of, he is ruled as civilly liable. That's my point here, is that it doesn't matter how many inconsistencies there are in her story, doesn't take away enough, right, to drop it below that 51% threshold. That's all. And that's kind of my point here, is that throwing around the word rapist is very irresponsible. I actually know a person in my personal life who came to me with a similar story, not exactly the same as this before, but a woman who I had known before had come to me and said that this person forced himself on her. When she came to me with that story, I didn't know what to believe. I thought, okay, well, I know the person, so he's a piece of shit. So I rang him up right away. I did attempt to get him to swing by so that I could question him on the matter. And in my mind, I was hoping to physically assault the guy because I was pissed off at her story. And just based on his reaction and the way that he handled the whole situation, I personally believe that she was telling the truth. But then again, I was very biased in the situation, and to this day, I don't know the real story, right? Because I wasn't there, and that's the point, right? Especially in a civil case, right? In a criminal case where real evidence must be submitted, and you must prove something beyond the shadow of a doubt that it took place. That is different, right? Because genuine evidence must be submitted, as opposed to circumstantial or just verbal accounts of what happened that night, when Conor McGregor had CCTV footage to support him, yet he was still found civilly liable. It's very interesting, man. It's very interesting to me, the whole situation. Now, I'm not saying that he did not do it, man. I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to minimize her story. I'm not trying to take away from her story. All I'm saying is that there are inconsistencies that we should take into account before we go around labeling somebody as something as horrible as a rapist. You know what I mean? It's a lot. It's a lot to call somebody. Conor McGregor is many things, right? As I said before, he's a piece of shit. Absolutely. Do I find his cokehead personality entertaining and funny? Absolutely, right? If you watch my Conor McGregor antics and tomfoolery tier list, then you'll know I find the guy very entertaining. But in situations like this, I'm not the kind of person who can separate the art from the artist. Just knowing that he's such a vile person in general, without the cloud hanging over his head of being a rapist, he's still a piece of shit at the end of the day, and I can't support the dude. But to circle back to my personal story with something similar to this, this girl, right? She was afraid to take it to the police. I was urging her, man, please. If this is true, take it to the police. It was so recent. Like, just go, take it to the police, get this guy arrested. I was so upset at what had happened. I was contacting the dude. And then he started offering money, right? He started offering to pay her, right? So right then and there, I kind of had an idea in my head that, okay, this guy probably did do this, but this girl is so afraid to go and say her piece because she was afraid of the judgment from her family, right? The culture that she had come from, she was afraid to be judged by her family, right? So fear can come into play when it comes to these types of cases, shame and all that. And I know that from personal account that can play a big role. And it may be frustrating from the outside. It's like, why did you take so long to bring it up? Why did you wait until 6 years later, right? Conor McGregor was famous back then, right? She could have gotten a large sum of money from him back then too. He had a lot of money back then too. He was a rich man back in 2018. He was a rich man. So it can't have been a money thing. Maybe, if he had become a fucking millionaire from 2018, went from dead broke to, now is this big shot millionaire. But no, he was a millionaire back then. Now he's pushing billionaire status. So I don't see there being a financial reason why she decided to wait this long, right? There could be fear, right? There have been stories of bricks being thrown through people's windows who had accused Conor McGregor of certain things, and Nikita Hand's boyfriend being stabbed after a home invasion, potentially related to Conor McGregor. You know what I mean? So like, fear can come into play. So we can never get into other people's heads and say, well, you should have brought it up back then. This way you're fucking clearly lying. No, you cannot make that deliberation on your own. You can't. You really, really can't. You can have an assumption, but you cannot speak factually about what has actually gone on and what went on in her head. And that's why I hate these kinds of cases, and I hate speaking about them. I really do, but it's such a high profile one regarding arguably the most high profile name in combat sports. So I decided I would give my take on it, and it's why I'm speaking in plain English, man. I don't want to censor my words on this case. I don't want to take away from the seriousness of it. So if I get demonetized for this, that's fine. I don't want to make money off this video anyway. I'm not going to really even apply for monetization on this video. I don't see that there's really a point of it. But let's focus on Dee Devlin now, because I feel like some people, especially the ones who are just in complete fuck Conor McGregor mode, he's a piece of shit rapist and all that, are also now trying to shit on Dee Devlin, because Dee Devlin is coming out defending her own husband, right, who's provided her a great life and who she's been with for over a decade now, who she's mothered children with, you know what I mean? So like, of course she's going to defend her fucking husband. I would expect my own girlfriend, like, we're not married, we've been together for like 2 years, but I would expect her to do the same in this situation, because of course she's going to see the best in her own husband, you know what I mean? Maybe they do have an agreement that he can go and fornicate with other women, but clearly she draws the line at accusations like this. But let's read her defense of Conor McGregor. I believe this was posted on Instagram, or is that Twitter? I don't even know what they look like nowadays, but let's see. Conor and I dealt with these issues privately many years ago, as should be done in a relationship, and we have come out stronger than ever. We have 4 beautiful children now whose smiling faces and happy hearts are a testament to who he is and who we are. They, without sin, cast the first stone. Imagine a woman with her own boyfriend and child texting provocative pictures of herself to another woman's man with a family and child on the way. This woman claims to know me. That is an interesting part of this story that I find interesting that people aren't bringing this up, because she claims to know Dee Devlin, yet she still sent those pictures over. It does raise questions as to her character, right? It definitely does. It raises major questions as to the character of Nikita Hand. But let's see. Woman claims to know me, yet still went ahead and sent messages and pictures of herself over and over to my man, really, whilst out on a 3-day bender, texting excuses to her own child at home. Wow, where Mammy is on Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, Sunday morning, the Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, into Monday morning. All the while, out of her face, I don't even know what that means. That's some kind of Irish saying. In a hotel room, dancing around a hotel car park. What sort of woman are you? I look forward to the day, CCTV does not lie. I look forward to the day the world will see the footage of you on that night and the carry on of you, not a bother of I'm having a really hard time reading this Irish English here. Not a bother on you having not a bother on you having the time of your life. This is the real evidence. Video footage no one knew was being taken in the moment, which you miraculously don't remember. To me, it looks like you're the one sexually assaulting in the lift. To me, it looks like everyone is trying to get away from you. So that's interesting. Obviously, we have not seen the CCTV footage, so I think anyone going after Dee Devlin in this situation, shitting on her, is pretty unfair, considering she was in the courtroom and actually got to witness the footage herself, right? So she's allowed to make her own deliberations based on the evidence that she was able to witness firsthand, right? That we have no fucking access to, right? So when that eventually does get onto the internet, maybe everyone's mind will be changed. Maybe everyone will see the situation a little bit differently. Maybe it is that damning for Nikita Hand, and that raises questions as to how it didn't come into account really in the case at all, right? Because footage versus circumstantial evidence, you know what I mean? Verbal account versus video footage. I feel like video evidence should take higher precedent than a verbal account with no evidence really to be brought forth. I know there was the medical examination that took place where they did find the tampon wedged up inside of her, lacerations, bruises, all that. So it looked really bad for Conor McGregor. It did. And it does. It looks bad for him. I understand that. And I'm not defending the guy. I just wanted to come out here and really not take a side in a sense, but just give my opinion on both of them. I think what Nikita Hand did, to parrot what Dee Devlin said, was awful. I think going out of your way to reach out to a married man of someone that you apparently know is extremely low character. And I think going up to the hotel room with him in the first place and acting flirtatious, if the CCTV footage is to be true, which I assume it is because it's been corroborated. So it's low character activity from Nikita Hand. But at the same time, it's awful of Conor McGregor to do what he did. Absolutely awful of Conor McGregor to do what he did. And I do see the perspective of people who are trashing Dee Devlin right now and saying that she's no better than Conor McGregor for defending him. And I do agree, right? Don't just ring out the accuser. Ring out your husband as well. But of course you won't do that publicly. At the end of the day, whether she loves him or not, he is also her piggy bank and has enabled her to live a very lavish lifestyle for a long time. And you can actually draw a parallel to this and the Diddy situation, right? His kids, his whole family are defending him vehemently despite real evidence coming out against him. So, of course, family will be a little bit more biased than your average everyday human being, you know what I mean? Now, I would like to focus on this post right here. It was made on Twitter by some dude. I found this. Listen, I don't know if all of this is to be true, but I would like to lay out his points because his points do raise certain questions about the story levied towards Conor McGregor. But let's see, right? First, the accuser first propositioned Conor McGregor, sending him suggested pictures over social media and volunteering to go to his hotel. Despite this, she claims she had no desire to sleep with him. Yes, inconsistency right there. Number one, if that's true, inconsistency from what I've seen about the court case, that is absolutely true. Second point, she left her boyfriend to go see McGregor as part of a multi-day bender, but lied to him about where she was. This is also true. It's been verifiably true. I believe that she also admitted to ordering her friend. I don't know if this friend has actually spoken out against her. I've heard conflicting accounts that her friend actually did speak out against her and denounce certain accusations, specifically towards a friend of Conor McGregor's who was there on that day as well, right? So she left her boyfriend to go see him and then lied about where she was. Number three, CCTV footage showed her kissing and touching both Conor McGregor and his friend after McGregor was alleged to have raped her. In fact, she stayed for hours partying and drinking after the alleged assault. She alleged that he put her in a chokehold and told her, "Now you know how I felt in the octagon where I tapped 3 times." Really, yeah, like I said before, that's hard to believe. It just simply is. Number 5, a couple in the bedroom next door testified against her account of these events. They never saw or heard any signs of assault. One of these people that testified this was her own friend and work colleague. Yes, so see that is the friend that I was referring to there. So clearly I'm not mistaken. So whether this is true or not, I'm just going to assume that this is true, right? I did try and fact check a lot of this, but you find such conflicting information on the internet that it's really tough to come to a conclusion on this stuff, but seems legit so far based on what I've heard. Number 6, one of those people testified that he slept with the woman. She denied this, but it was seemingly corroborated by CCTV footage showing her all over him after the alleged assault. Wow. She also sued this man for sexual assault despite claiming to have no recollection of meeting him, but he was found not guilty by the jury. That's insane. She claimed to have no memory of the events of the CCTV footage showing her all over the two men, but had a good memory of everything else. See that right there? Major red flag in the case, although some people will bring up, I guess, repressing memories, based on trauma. People who have experienced trauma would probably say, no, I do the same thing. I repress the most painful memories, which is actually true for a lot of trauma survivors. So this is, just to reiterate, this is me being completely objective here, as objective as possible, right? So number 7, that was. Number 8, she claimed to be out of it at the time of the assault. Sorry, bear with me, man. The text is very small for me here. Explaining her lapsed memory, but she was texting lengthy text messages of lies to her boyfriend at the time. Number 9, for some reason, her boyfriend recorded the conversation with her when she returned home. What does that suggest? Number 10, the case was thrown out as a criminal case by the Director of Public Prosecution due to insufficient evidence twice. This was a civil case where it does not need to be proved beyond a reasonable doubt, as I said before in the video, but just found to be more likely than not. The jury was made up of 8 women and 4 men, like I said. And lastly, this is not a rape conviction, but an award for damages over an assault. Finally, here is what the DPP told the women when she tried to bring this as a criminal case for why her story could not be proven as criminal trial. One significant factor in this case was the existence of a second suspect who claims to have had sexual intercourse with you after you say you were raped by the first suspect. As you know, you have no recollection of intercourse with the second suspect and have stated that if sex had taken place, it would not have been consensual. You've also described in your statement the amount of alcohol and drugs you would consume. The CCTV footage from hotels, as well as relevant witness statements from hotel staff and taxi drivers, were considered, right? And all of that considered, this case was thrown out of criminal court, right? It had no basis. It was essentially thrown out multiple times, man, because there wasn't sufficient enough evidence. To me, this case is very dicey. It's very strange. But like I say, a civil case like this is usually not public record, but of course it's a high profile individual like Conor McGregor, so of course it'll be public record. But these cases are usually nothing. They mean nothing. It's like, okay, you found me liable, so I'll pay the money, whatever, right? Most people with a lot of money just pay out these people just to end it all, right? Because it's pocket change for him. $250K for Conor McGregor is pocket change, right? You see what I mean here? So it's tough. It's tough to see this case end up the way that it ended up and start labeling Conor McGregor as a rapist, despite the fact that Nikita Hand's story is very inconsistent and does paint her as a potential liar. Like I said, man, I'm not saying she's a liar. I'm not saying she's telling the truth. All I'm saying is that Conor McGregor is a crappy person. He's a shitty person, right? Whether or not he did this or not, whether he did this horrible thing or he didn't, he's still a piece of shit. And Nikita Hand, whether this happened to her or it didn't, right? If it did, I feel awful for the woman. I do. I feel awful for her. I do, right? No one deserves for this to happen to her. But her behavior leading up to it is a bit inconsistent with this type of a claim, I must say. And her behavior surrounding leaving her child at home and lying to her boyfriend while going out on this bender, right? It paints her in a certain light. And all I'm saying is that if she has been dishonest in this case, all I can say is that I wouldn't be surprised. And if Conor McGregor really did do this, I wouldn't be surprised either. That's why this case is so interesting. That's why this case is so dicey ultimately. And it makes it impossible for me to just start going out and labeling people. And that really is what this comes down to. That's why I made this video in the first place. Is the reactions that I've been seeing. I think it shows low character from you internet people, man. Anyone going around saying, "See, I told you Conor McGregor was a piece of shit. See, he's a rapist, even though he's not a convicted rapist." You cannot label somebody as something that they haven't been convicted of. You know what I mean? Like a criminal word like rapist, Conor McGregor has not been found guilty of rape. It is a civil case. And I must reiterate once again before I close out the video here that the threshold for evidence is much, much lower. You do not have to prove this without a reasonable doubt. And in my opinion, the evidence presented by Conor McGregor's team should have been enough to exonerate him of this. But I guess I'm wrong, right? Everything else came to the forefront. The medical examination showing that she had potentially been assaulted, right, was enough. And like I said, if something did happen, right, those injuries don't look good for Conor McGregor. They absolutely don't. And I would say that the pushback from Conor McGregor supporters saying that it's all a money grab. At the end of the day, man, like she didn't really receive that much, like $250K. It's not a small amount, but it's not a huge amount either. And there was a pretty hefty chance that if Conor McGregor was not found liable of this sexual assault, that she would have had to pay his legal fees, right? So like there was actually quite a big risk for her to come out and actually share this story. So I believe to outright say that she's lying here is just not the right way about it. You know, it's important that we're as objective as possible in these cases. But at the end of the day, can I say how she got it? You know, why did she stick around with them after, right? Why was she still lying to her boyfriend? Why all the lies, right? Her own friend testified against her. You see what I mean, man? So I'm very confused as to this whole case, but clearly people are just jumping for joy because this person that they hate, Conor McGregor, is going through it right now. And if you're finding personal joy in this happening and you want him to be a rapist, then that is you also parading the fact that a woman was assaulted. If you believe that Conor McGregor was, it just seems like people want this to be true, and I think that's kind of gross. But at the end of the day, man, I don't know what happened that night. I wasn't there. Nikita Hand could be a liar. Conor McGregor could really be proper guilty of sexual assault, and unfortunately, man, unless some criminal case does go forward, we will never know about it. All I wanted to point out is the inconsistencies in Nikita Hand's statement, and also share my personal thoughts on Conor McGregor, because at the end of the day, man, the guy does not deserve sympathy, although he also doesn't deserve to be labeled as something that he may very well not be. You see what I mean? But that does conclude my thoughts on this case, guys. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought. If you thought that I should have been more objective, if you thought that I was too objective, you thought I should have shit on one person more than the other. Listen, man, I made this video only to share my thoughts, and that's really all it comes down to. But I appreciate you watching as always, and I'll see you on the next one.